papers with Emerald Creek, and Lisa can put the link in for you. These are called Festive Nights. So it comes in 8 beautiful colors, and they're 12 by 12 cardstock. And they are just beautiful. They are double-sided. So you get 4 sheets in the package, and you get all 8 of the colors. I know personally, I have done the most with the purple and the blue. I love these papers. And it's really cool because, let me see if you can tell. It's darker around the edge, so you get a different look depending upon where you cut it, where you die cut it, what area or what section you're using. But this is the cardstock I'm using today. And the 2 dies I'm using from Impression Obsession. The first one is this awesome snowflake die. It is perfect. I love dies and I love detailed dies, and this one is great. And the second one is Let It Snow. So they called out to me with the papers. The papers look all festive-y and with all of the speckles in there and stuff. To me, that looked like snow. So that's why I chose these 2 dies to use today. Now, to get started, first of all, you have to die cut a piece of the decorative paper. So I want to show you, I die cut. My first card is in blue, which I did another one in the blue. But then I thought, oh, let me try the red, because to me, red and white is Christmassy. So I thought, let me do it in the red. And this die works wonderfully. I always run my die when it's really intricate like this. I run it through twice. I wanted to show you, I ran it through once with this one, and I didn't get a good enough impression or pressure right here, so it was hard for me to pop this part out. But I wanted to show you with this die, because it has that extra edge all the way around, you're able to line this up perfectly. You can't do this with all dies. But I tried it, so I know it works. You're able to line that up perfectly because you punched out parts of it, and you're able to stick it exactly where it goes. And you can take a piece of purple tape to hold it in place and put it on your plates and run that through a second time. And then those pop out super easy. So that's just a little tip. If you have any issue with some of your dies, I know sometimes we run it through and think, oh, we're just going to pop this right out. When they're super detailed, I like to run them through twice so I don't have a problem. But if you run it through once and you have any issue, you're able to put this exactly where it goes, and it works perfectly. So to make this card, I die cut this and I punched all of those pieces out. And then I used an A2 card base, which I pre-cut, and an A2 is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So I will take my 8.5 by 11 paper, a whole ream of it, and I'll bring it to like Office Max or Office Depot and have them cut it perfectly in half. So it ends up being 5.5 by 8.5. So when you fold it, you have an A2 size card. And they can cut it with one cut. And I think it costs 50 cents. I mean, it's cheap instead of cutting them all by yourself. So I'll go in with the whole ream of paper. And it doesn't even have to be paper that you bought there. So I go in there with a whole stack and I'll have them cut those for me. And if you have them cut the long way, then you have a tall top folding card. So you need a card base. And then I have some stackable dies that I've had forever that I use to cut out my backgrounds a lot. And what I did, because I don't want to waste all of this cardstock, so I took and I put my die on here and I put one of the nested pieces inside. So I have this piece I can use for another card. And I have this to use for my background. You're covering it up and you're layering it up a bunch, so you're not going to even know that this hole is in here. But that gives you this whole extra piece of cardstock you're able to use on another project. And when it's pretty cardstock like this, you want to save as much of it as you can. So you need your die cut snowflakes and you need your base. And then you also need, and this is cut 5.5 by 4.25. And then because I have all these nested dies I've had forever, this is cut just a bit smaller so that this will all layer on top of each other. So let's go ahead and layer this on the card base. And for this, I like to use the Gina K tape runner because it's very forgiving. You can put this down and lift it right up. If you got it on crooked, you can lift it up right away. It will become permanent, but you have that little bit of time in which to lift it up. So just add that to your card base. And then I'm putting the layer of white down. And because this is stitched, it's easy for me to center it. I eyeball everything, even though I have not the best eyes. I eyeball everything. And now for this piece, because it's so intricate, I am using a liquid glue and I'm using the Ultra Bond. So I just take a toothpick. Here, I'm gonna fix my camera. I feel like it's turning just a little bit. Let me fix that. There we go. Sometimes if you don't get it tight enough, it'll start moving on you. So I take just a little bit of glue, and they do have a tip for this glue that make a micro tip that you can use also, but I like using a toothpick. Maybe because I've done it for years and years and it is just my preferred way. So I go around the entire outside. And this glue dries clear, so if you got some that oozed out that you didn't catch and you weren't able to wipe away, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But I go around the entire outside, and then I go in the bigger areas of the snowflakes. You're not going to hit every single little thing, but as long as you get some of those big pieces, and when you do it with a toothpick, you're able to dab. Grab just a little bit more. You're able to dab on those snowflakes and get a good amount of glue on there. You're not going to cover every single little piece. Some people might. If you wanted, you could put this through a Xyron with a double-sided tape, and then you would have the adhesive already on there. So then I just line this up, and there's going to be like about 1/8 of an inch of the white all the way around. And I just press on it to adhere that. Right, Rebecca, this is an easy card for Christmas if you wanted to mass produce. Okay, so next I went ahead and die cut Let It Snow. Now, I like things to pop, and I don't want to put foam behind this. I could cut foam, some fun foam out and put behind it. But what I do is I'll take some, like I save all my scraps of my cardstock. And you can see here, I layered 2 pieces of cardstock, and I just cut this out a bunch of times. And it's already 2 layers thick. On this one, I don't know if you can see that dimension. I made this, I glued 2 of them on top of each other. So this is 4 layers. So you're able to, this is already 2 layers. So you're already ahead of the game. And this one, I still have to pop out the inside of the S and the O. But you already have 2 layers, and it die cuts really nicely with 2 layers. I haven't tried it with more because it is a thin die. I thought 2 layers was enough. And then again, I take my wet glue, my Ultra Bond, and I just dab it in several places. And then I layer these. And because it's a die cut, they line up perfectly. And I layer that like that. So I did it with the snow, and I did it with the Let and It also. But for the card I'm doing today, I did, wonder if you can see. You can maybe hear that. I did an extra one on top, so it's 6 layers I have on this one. I thought that would give it just a little bit more pop of what I wanted. Teal snowflakes and light purple words. Ooh, that would be nice too, wouldn't it? Okay, so after I had these all glued together. And I was going to put this on here. I thought, okay, it needs something to break it up because this is busy, which I love. I mean, it looks beautiful. But what I did was I cut a strip of the cardstock to put on here because that would break it up and it would really let those letters or those words pop. And what I did with this one was I put it to the edge of the white. I didn't bring it all the way out to the blue. And I'm going to do that again. And I'm just using the tape runner. And you could make it a side card too and put it down there. So really, it's up to you. And I just put it about a third of the way up from the bottom. It's totally up to you. And again, I eyeball things. So I'm going to take that and actually see with the Gina K, you can lift that right up. I want to bring that over just a little bit more. And then I'm just going to snip that off. So that kind of breaks it up, and then you'll be able to see your words. Now I'm going to put the snow on first because it's the last word, and then the other two words go more in the center of the card. And I want to make sure, I don't want to put the let it on there and have the snow off to the side. So if you didn't want to use a piece of cardstock here, you could put a piece of ribbon. So there's lots of options. And you could also do this in white and then do the words in the red. That would be pretty too. So again, I'm just using the Ultra Bond, making sure I get some areas of all of the letters on that word. And then I noticed right there, I don't know if you can see it on that end, I had a little too much glue oozing out and I don't want it all over my card. So then with this, you want to be a little bit more careful because the wet glue, you'd have to wipe it off the card. So you just want to make sure about where you want to put this. So I think right there is good. And I like the 6 layers. I don't know if you can see that if I hold it up. All that dimension, it really makes the words pop. So then you do the same with the it. I put that next to it. And then the first word let. So these are quick and easy, and they would make beautiful Christmas cards to send out. Okay, so I have way too much glue on that E, so I'm just going to take the other end of this toothpick and clean that up a little bit. So by layering these 6 times, it's kind of like a chipboard. And if you didn't want to waste all of your decorative paper, if you did this strip in white, you could do the underneath layers of the words in white and just put the top layer with the decorative paper. That would be pretty too. So I think I'll do that maybe with this piece that I have in the blue. Maybe I'll do a white strip and do the Let It Snow in the decorative paper, and I'll post that later so you guys can see what that would look like. So that's how easy it is to create this card. I mean, it is, a lot of times people think they have to use rubber stamps, but I think sometimes just using dies and cardstock are the perfect way to go for cards. I mean, there are so many beautiful dies out there and word dies, so you can really do a lot with them. And I think these turned out just beautiful. So I'm going to see if you guys have any questions